Janie Burkett was raised in a quiet town in Oklahoma. She was a pastor's daughter with a happy childhood and loving family.
We had a great church, I knew that there was something great that I was going to do for God, I love Jesus so much.
But when Janie was 10 years old, her parents separated.
We were busy with God. They were busy helping other people, but they forgot about themselves. The vision that I had of God began to switch, that He's a judgmental God. The vision of God was, if you're a loving God, then why do you let such bad things happen to good people?
A few months later, Janie's parents reconciled. They decided to travel full-time as evangelists, but Janie hated her new life on the road.
My childhood from that point was hard because everything that I had known was crumbling. I began to comfort eat. It was the one thing that would be there when everybody else left. I was 200 pounds at 15, 16 years old.
At the age of 15, while her parents were preaching at a revival, Janie was raped by a boy her age. For years, she kept it a secret.
For a long time, I took the blame of it, that it's my fault. And I hated myself. So, I was raped when I was fat, as I would say. I just wanted to get rid of it, just get rid of it. And so I think that's where most of the bulimia started.
After 5 years on the road, Janie's family settled down in a small Texas town. Janie plunged into the party life.
I began to get in with the wrong crowd. And then when I took my first hit of cocaine at 17 is when it was like over the top. The whole insecurity faded. And this is what caught me with the drugs, is because it completely took away the reality of what I thought about myself. But soon as the high faded off, the insecurity came right back. So I was hooked. My first hit, I was hooked.
While her drug use was rising, Janie's weight was plummeting.
When I would look in the mirror and I was 110 pounds, I was like, I gotta get thinner. The only way I'm gonna be loved is if I'm really, 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 really thin, and the more dope I can do, the more thinner I can get. The more I throw up, the thinner I can get.
Soon, Janie found a new way to take drugs, the needle.
I had like a $300 a day or a $400 a day habit. So then you start selling dope, then you start doing forgery, then you start doing organized crime. It wasn't a party life anymore, it was a way of survival.
Janie's family was grieved over her addictions, but their efforts to pull her out were futile.
And they would try to do as much as he could to pour Jesus into me the time that I would be home. And they would put on Christian worship music, when I would come home, and I would come home and I would clean up for a day, and here I go again. But I can remember my dad just tears pouring down his face as I would leave because he would know he wouldn't see me again for months.
By the age of 22, she was a high-profile drug dealer with 17 warrants out for her arrest.
They had set my bond at $1.5 million. Like $1.5 million.
Janie eventually served 18 months of a 5-year prison sentence. But less than a year after her release, she violated her probation with alcohol and drug use.
On December the 18th was my hearing for me to go in front of the judge. She looked at me through her glasses and she said, I'm confining Miss Burkett to the Texas Department of Corrections for 40 years. I thought about, when it's time to get married, I'm gonna be in prison. When it's time to have kids and watch them grow up, I'm gonna be in prison. 24 years old, completely broken, 90-something pounds, alcoholic, drug addict. I had no life left before me. I was transferred back to the women's state prison to serve out my 40 years. But I remember looking out the window, seeing all that was before me. It was just me and Jesus. Me and the Savior who died for me. And I said, God, I've made a mess out of my life. If you can take this broken person and make something good out of it, then do it. And I ask you, Lord, that if it be your will, would you please overturn this sentence? But if not, then give me grace to accept the fact that this is where I will spend most of my life, and give me peace and love to do it. And I began to read my Bible, And I began to pray. My anger began to break, and my hate began to break, and the love of God began to flow through me.
At the same time Janie and her parents were praying for a miracle, the judge who sentenced her resigned, and a new judge took the bench. Soon after, Janie received a letter from her mother.
And it said, "Yay! We got a new trial," meaning like in big letters, and it said, "The new judge is gonna hear your case."
Janie asked the new judge to send her to a Christian rehab program called Teen Challenge.
She said, "If I could give you a 60-year prison sentence and probate it, I would, because what you did was wrong and unacceptable with this court, you know." She said, "However, that would not be merciful, nor would it be compassionate." She said, "So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna probate that sentence, that you go to the Teen Challenge program, you complete the program, and you make something of yourself." I saw a God that day that loved me, not a judgmental God, not a God that's gonna throw you away because you're worthless, but a God who makes broken things new. I saw a God who loved me more than I loved myself.
Janie left for Teen Challenge.
I went in basically dead, a dead person with skin and bones, and the Lord was transforming me this 13 months. I graduated at 135 pounds. I had finally completed something in my life, and God had given me a new start. And I looked in the mirror and I saw somebody completely different. I saw my hair was fuller and my eyes were beautiful. I didn't see fat anymore. I saw who God saw.
Today, Janie is drug-free and is completely reconciled with her family. She is also a full-time speaker and has written a book called Unshackled.
There's no drug that's too big for God. There's no prison that's too big for God. Give your life to Jesus, because it will be the best decision that you've ever made in your life. Just try Jesus. Don't let him be your last shot. You know, try him and see what a difference he can make in your life.